quite often on a Monday morning you have a slightly different outlook on a game that happened on Saturday. Have you looked back at Ipswich and drawn any new conclusions?
No, not really. I still stand by what I saw on Saturday at the game. Yeah, I thought the lads deserve a lot of credit for the way they played in the game. We had a game plan that was intended to win the game. And part of winning the game is trying to nullify the opposition. I think for the big periods we did. Very, very disappointed to concede the way we did from a set piece, because we are good defensively from set, or we have been. And when it's just an organisational thing, that's the disappointing thing. And you know, there's probably no one more upset than the perpetrator, actually. But we move on, and we've got to be positive, and we've got to take that into a big game tomorrow.
You had a couple of injury doubts after the game in Adedoyin and Pritchard. A couple of days after the game, have you got any update on either of those?
I don't think either of them will be travelling, so I'm not scored, no. So, but gives other people opportunities.
So it's taken one game at a time, is it, with the schedule the way it is? No suggesting that it's going to be longer term than that? As
regards to Joe, I just think it's a case of when he's pain free. And sometimes them injuries are the ones that niggle, because you know you can't really kick the ball when your foot's killing you. So we'll just see how it is, just see how it develops over the next week or so.
As far as the way the games have gone, I was listening with interest to you talking before the game on Saturday about, don't talk to me about being unbeaten, we've only won one game. Does that mindset have to continue, that you have to be looking to win matches even if that means you lose some?
Every time we take the pitch, we're trying to win the game, and I don't care who we play. We'll try and win the game, we'll try and come up with a formula to try and win the game. And that might mean keeping it tight for the X amount of minutes. That might be going gung-go. There's plenty of ways to deal with that. You can't reference the cats anymore, can you? And however we do it, we've got to focus on getting it right. And our lads, I can't fault their effort. You know, they ran themselves into the ground. It was tired legs out there, and when you don't get anything to reward you, it gets a little bit. You can get a bit despondent, and it's our job to pick them up. It's our job to encourage them, to drive them forward, to get them in a positive mindset, and give them the best tools to try and win the next game we play. And you can only look at the next game. You know, I know that the top end teams in the Premiership have got that much staff that they can dedicate resources to planning weeks and months ahead. We can't do that, and I personally don't think you should do that. I think you've got to treat every game like it's your next cup final, and try and win that game. And that's whatever game you play. You know, we're playing head tennis on the way down to Forest Green. So today I want to win, and I'll do everything I can to win. And we've got to have that mentality. And I think the lads respond well to how much the staff want to win. They know our desire, and I think they respond to it really well.
I'm sure lots of Premier League clubs have psychologists and people who work on that side of the game. I guess that falls in your remit here. Is that something that you enjoy, that picking the players up, emphasising the things you need to emphasise and having them mentally ready?
I think one of the facets of our life, myself and Jimmy, not so much John Doolan and Jeb Brannan, because they were professional footballers, but myself and Jimmy, that was our dream, to be a professional footballer, and we didn't, for whatever reason, we didn't make the grade. But that desire has never left us. And so the fact that we're involved at a good level of professional football still thrills us. And I think we show that to the players every day. how thrilled we are to be involved in professional football. And I think the players feed off that.
Does that sort of set the tone? You talk about players on the pitch leading by example. Do you feel like you do that?
Yeah, yep, 100%. You know, when Jimmy made the point the other day in the dressing room quite succinctly, you know, the two leagues off the greatest league in professional football in the world. We're 2 leagues off that. And sometimes you have to pinch yourself.
I guess when you were playing Forest Green in the conference, even then, the idea of being a couple of promotions away from the Premier League would have seemed quite remote, would it? Or was it always the dream?
For both of us, yeah, I suppose so. More so for them when we were playing them in the conference at the time, because I don't think they were back like they are now. And they've got a smashing little club there. Oh, I'll say little, but it's a well-run club. They're going in the right direction, and you know, I think it's refreshing to see teams like that who want to climb the table, who want to do the best to get as high as they can. Just as I'm always champion about the big teams. Shouldn't really be in our league, but they are, and we respect them for that. And wish them good luck if they do get out of this league. But while they're in this league for a reason, and we're going to try and beat them. Just as we're going to try and beat emerging teams.
Do you think that's why English football has such an appeal? Because you can go that way down the pyramid, but you can also go up, and there's no real restriction on that.
Yeah, I think it is. I think the sad thing about English football is that that's being closed off to the top echelons of the Premiership. So, you know, you're not... I know Leicester booked the trend, but you're not going to get many teams out of the so-called top 6 or 8 who are going to win the league. And so you've got possibly 2 leagues in that respect. I think in our league, it's wide open. Anyone can beat anyone. Anyone can win the league. Anyone can go down. And you're fighting like mad every time you play. And I think that's what makes probably our league one of the most appealing leagues.
You've already had a trip to Forest Green, and bizarre circumstances, you know, the heavens opened and everything was flooded. They've signed a couple of players since then. They've not won since then, I don't think. Is your preparation to play them this time any different to how it was last time?
Well, the only difference will be that we'll have different players because of injuries. And no, we're going in the same frame of mind. Obviously, we're going on the back of a defeat, which is different. And we've got to make sure it's not like London buses. You know, you wait for ages, then they come at once. So we don't want to. We want to stop it at one defeat.
As far as results are concerned, do results tell the story of what you've seen from Forest Green, or is there more to that than the run that they're on?
I think most teams are settling down at the moment, so I don't think you can be guided by results at this stage of the season. You know, and I went on about that, about us being unbeaten, and I particularly haven't been in for all the way we've started the season. I think we can be better, and hopefully we will be better as the months go on.
They've had a new manager go in there, haven't they, Ian Birchnell, who's been in non-league football previously. How do you see the jump from non-league to football league in 2022 compared to what it was when you guys were doing it?
I'm glad that lawnmower stopped, like, that's for sure.
That was helpful, wasn't it?
It was very helpful. Struggling to hear you there. No, I think the gap's closed between non-league and the football league. Mainly for the fact that, you know, you've got teams below the conference who are full-time. So, you know, professional football is seeping down to Conference North, Conference South. And even on the odd occasion below that. And football will always be a game that appeals to the masses because I think they can relate to it. They can relate to the thrills and spills. And I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy that the non-league teams are all pushing for a place in the league. I think it's a little bit unfair on non-league teams that they haven't got the promotion passage that everybody else has in the league. You know, I know the Bucks at 10 to League One, 4 up, 4 down, but all the others have 3 and 3, and I think, I think they deserve to have 3 up, 3 down.
And I just wanted to ask you, you talk a lot about your coaches and the quality that they bring and the contribution that they bring. Familiar face back around the place in Andy Dibble, who will have been with you when you were playing Forest Green in the conference. How much is he bringing in? What can he kind of offer to you? And how much is there a sort of connection between those days and now with yourself and Jimmy and him back in the dugout?
I think the connections for non-league will always be there while me and Jimmy are there. But it's good to have them back. We've had various goalkeeping coaches since he left, and the last one, Louis Stewart, a really good guy, very conscientious in his job. But Andy brings the benefit of experience of playing in goal at the soft light, and that's invaluable, and I think that's going to be invaluable going forward.
Is there any substitute for that, having somebody who can provide some insight?
Yeah, we were talking about that in the car this morning, and people will argue, well, perhaps one of the best managers that England have seen in the last, or the Premier League has seen in the last 20 years would be Jose Mourinho, and he didn't have a great deal of experience playing football. But specialist positions probably require a little bit more specialist knowledge, and I think that's what he brings.